The lunar research station stood silent against the dark backdrop of space, its metallic walls reflecting the distant starlight. Inside the main research chamber, Dr. Hannah Kim carefully examined the most extraordinary discovery of her scientific career. Before her, encased in a transparent preservation chamber, sat a crystalline statue that seemed to defy every known law of physics and biology. The statue was not just an artifact. It was a mystery that had consumed the entire research team for months. Discovered deep within an unexplored lunar cavern, the crystalline figure appeared to be a young female alien, perfectly preserved in a moment of what looked like intense emotion. Her body was frozen mid-movement, one hand stretched outward, her face turned slightly to the side with an expression of defiance and pain. Park Jae-sung, Hannah's primary research partner, moved closer to the preservation chamber. His breath fogged the glass slightly as he traced the intricate details of the statue with his eyes. The crystal wasn't like anything they had ever seen before. It seemed to be part stone, part living organism, with microscopic structures that pulsed with an almost imperceptible energy. "The cellular structure is unlike anything in our database," Hannah muttered, reviewing the latest scan results. Advanced quantum scanners had revealed something extraordinary. This wasn't just a statue. Something was alive inside. The research team had discovered the statue during a routine geological survey of the Moon's unexplored southern crater region. What should have been a standard mineral extraction mission had turned into the most significant scientific discovery of the century. Initial scans suggested the statue was thousands of years old, potentially representing a completely unknown alien civilization. Jae-sung adjusted the quantum resonance imaging equipment, his fingers moving quickly across the holographic display. Strange energy signatures danced across the screen, biological markers that suggested life, but not in any form they could easily comprehend. "Look at this," he called to Hannah. A microscopic network of what appeared to be neural pathways flickered within the crystalline structure. They were dormant but not dead. Something was waiting, preserved in a state between life and complete preservation. The research station itself was a marvel of human engineering. Situated on the Moon's surface, it represented humanity's most advanced outpost of scientific exploration. Multiple research teams worked simultaneously on various projects, but everyone knew this discovery was different. This was potentially first contact with an alien civilization. Hannah remembered the moment they first brought the statue into the research chamber. The transportation had been complex, requiring specialized containment units and extreme care. Every movement was calculated, every scientific protocol followed meticulously. As night fell across the lunar landscape, the research chamber remained brightly lit. Sophisticated equipment hummed and blinked, continuously scanning and analyzing the mysterious statue. Temperature-controlled environments maintained perfect conditions, ensuring nothing would disturb the delicate preservation. The statue's details were mesmerizing. Intricate crystalline structures seemed to hold memories of movement. Her clothing, if it could be called that, appeared to be integrated with her body, a seamless blend of biological and technological elements. Her facial expression spoke of struggle, of resistance against something powerful and overwhelming. "We're missing something," Hannah whispered to herself, reviewing the countless data streams. Every scan, every analysis revealed new questions, but provided few answers. Who was this being? What civilization did she come from? Why was she preserved in this extraordinary manner? Jae-sung brought her a cup of coffee, a simple human gesture that seemed almost absurd given the magnitude of their discovery. They had been working for weeks, barely sleeping, consumed by the mystery before them. "We'll figure this out," he said simply, placing the coffee beside her workstation. Hannah nodded, her eyes never leaving the statue. Something about the being's posture suggested a story of resistance. She wasn't just a victim, she was a survivor. The lunar night continued. The research station remained a beacon of human curiosity and scientific exploration. The crystalline statue waited, holding secrets from a forgotten civilization, ready to be awakened by human compassion and technological ingenuity. Little did they know that their discovery would change everything they understood about life, civilization, and the vast mysteries of the universe. The research team worked tirelessly, peeling back layers of the mysterious crystalline statue's secrets. Advanced quantum resonance imaging revealed details that seemed impossible just weeks before. Dr. Hana Kim and Park Jae-sung stood side by side, their eyes fixed on the holographic displays that flickered with strange, intricate patterns, microscopic. Neural pathways had become more visible now. They weren't just random connections. They were a complex network of memories, frozen in time. The being they called Arya began to take shape not just as a statue, but as a living story waiting to be understood. Initial data suggested she belonged to a civilization that had existed thousands of years ago. But this was no ordinary preservation. The crystalline structure was a form of punishment, a living tomb that kept her conscious yet trapped, suspended between life and complete stasis. Jae-sung discovered the first breakthrough during a late-night analysis. A particular energy signature seemed to pulse with what could only be described as emotional memory. "She's aware," he told Hana, his voice a mixture of excitement and disbelief. Somehow she's still aware. The research station became a hive of activity. Scientists from various disciplines converged, each bringing a unique perspective to the mysterious alien being. Linguists worked alongside quantum physicists, trying to decode the microscopic communication networks within the crystal. Fragments of Arya's past began to emerge. She was a rebel, someone who had challenged the fundamental structures of her society. The crystallization wasn't just a punishment. It was a message, a warning to others who might dare to challenge the established order. Hana noticed something unique about the neural pathways. They didn't follow any known biological pattern. Instead, they seemed to weave in and out of the crystalline structure like living threads, preserving not just memories but emotions, experiences, entire moments of consciousness. She fought against something, Hana explained to the team during a briefing. Whatever civilization she came from, she wasn't willing to accept their rules. The holographic displays showed complex imagery, glimpses of a world entirely different from anything humans had ever imagined. The preservation technique was beyond advanced. It was almost magical in its complexity. The crystal wasn't just a container, it was alive, it breathed, it remembered, it waited. Deeper scans revealed more. Arya had been a leader, perhaps a revolutionary. Her memories spoke of a society that valued conformity above individual thought. She had challenged something fundamental, something so significant that her punishment was to be preserved as a living statue, conscious but unable to move, to speak, to act. Jae-sung worked on a translation algorithm that could potentially understand the neural language within the crystal. It was like learning an entirely new form of communication, one that existed between thought and memory, between consciousness and preservation. Days turned into weeks. The research team worked in shifts, each bringing new insights. They discovered that Arya's memories were not linear. They were more like a complex web, with emotions and experiences intertwining in ways that defied traditional understanding of memory and consciousness. The most shocking discovery came during a routine scan. For a brief moment, they detected what could only be described as a cry for help. A 1,000-year-old plea frozen in crystal waiting to be heard. "She's not just a specimen," Hana told Jae-sung during a quiet moment. "She's a person, trapped but still fighting." The weight of this realization hung heavy in the research chamber. As lunar nights passed and Earth continued its routine existence, the research station became a sanctuary of discovery. Arya's crystalline form represented more than just a scientific breakthrough. She was a testament to resistance, to the power of individual thought against overwhelming societal pressure. The team knew they were close to something extraordinary. They weren't just studying an alien artifact. They were preparing to potentially rescue a consciousness that had been waiting for thousands of years to be freed. Jae-sung looked at Hana, a silent understanding passing between them. They were about to change everything humans knew about life, preservation, and the incredible complexity of consciousness. The crystal continued to pulse softly, holding its secrets, waiting to be understood. The extraction process began with extreme caution. Dr. Hana Kim had developed a specialized protocol that combined quantum entanglement with molecular reconstruction techniques. The research station buzzed with nervous energy as the team prepared for what could be the most important scientific procedure in human history. Specialized equipment surrounded the crystalline statue, thin quantum resonance probes, no thicker than human hair, carefully approached the preserved being. Each movement was calculated, each millimeter of approach measured with incredible precision. Jae-sung monitored the primary control systems. His hands moved swiftly across holographic interfaces, tracking microscopic changes in the crystal's internal structure. The quantum scanners showed something extraordinary. The being was responding to their approach, tiny neural pathways flickering with unexpected activity. "We're not just extracting," Hana explained to her team. "We're communicating. Every probe, every quantum pulse is a form of dialogue." Her voice was steady, but her hands trembled slightly with the weight of their potential discovery. The first stage involved creating a quantum bridge between the crystal's internal neural network and their advanced scanning equipment. It was like trying to wake someone from the deepest sleep imaginable, a sleep that had lasted thousands of years. Hours passed. The research station maintained absolute silence, with only the soft hum of equipment breaking the tension. Microscopic fractures began to appear in the crystal's structure. Not damage, but controlled openings that suggested the being was actively participating in her own extraction. Unexpected complications arose. The crystal's preservation method was more complex than they had initially understood. It wasn't just a preservation technique, it was a living defense mechanism. Each attempt to extract triggered complex molecular responses that threatened to seal the being deeper into her crystalline prison. Jae-sung discovered a critical breakthrough. By using a specific quantum frequency, they could communicate with the neural pathways without triggering the defensive mechanisms. It was like speaking a language that existed between matter and consciousness. "She's aware," Hana whispered, watching the quantum displays. "She knows we're trying to help her." The neural pathways began to show increased activity, responding to their gentle quantum probing. The extraction process was unlike any medical or scientific procedure in human history. They weren't just removing a specimen, they were negotiating a rescue with a consciousness that had been trapped for millennia. Days turned into weeks. The team worked in carefully managed shifts, each moment bringing them closer to understanding the complex being they were attempting to free. The crystal seemed to breathe with them, expanding and contracting in subtle, almost imperceptible movements. Nutrition protocols were developed to slowly reintroduce biological functions. They created a specialized quantum nutrient matrix that could penetrate the crystalline structure without causing shock to the preserved being's systems. The most challenging aspect was maintaining the delicate balance between extraction and preservation. One wrong move could destroy thousands of years of preserved memories and biological integrity. Jae-sung noticed something unusual during a routine scan. The being, Arya, was not just a passive subject. Her neural pathways were actively engaging with their extraction protocols. It was as if she was collaborating in her own rescue. "She wants to be freed," Hana realized, watching the complex neural interactions. "This isn't just a scientific procedure, it's a rescue mission." The final stages of extraction required absolute precision. Quantum stabilization fields were carefully adjusted. Molecular reconstruction units prepared to rebuild cellular structures that had been frozen for thousands of years. As the lunar landscape outside remained unchanged, a miracle was happening inside the research station. A being trapped between life and preservation was slowly, carefully being given a second chance. The crystal began to transform. Its solid structure became less rigid, more fluid. Neural pathways that had been dormant for millennia started to show signs of awakening. Jae-sung looked at Hana. They both understood the magnitude of what they were doing. This was more than a scientific breakthrough. This was an act of extraordinary human compassion. The extraction continued, a delicate dance between technology and consciousness, between preservation and freedom. Arya was coming back to life. The transformation began quietly, almost imperceptibly. First, A slight tremor ran through the crystalline structure that had held Arya captive for thousands of years. Dr. Hana Kim watched in absolute silence as microscopic cellular movements started to ripple beneath the surface. Jae Sung monitored the quantum stabilization equipment, his fingers moving swiftly across holographic displays. Each second was critical. They were witnessing something no human had ever seen before, the awakening of a being preserved across millennia. Arya's eyes were the first to show true signs of life. They shifted from a solid, stone-like appearance to something more organic, revealing depth and complexity. The color changed subtly, from a pale, lifeless gray to a soft, luminescent blue that seemed to hold entire universes within them. The research station held its breath. Decades of scientific preparation came down to these moments. Specialized medical teams stood ready, quantum healing systems primed to support her fragile reintegration into consciousness. Her first movements were barely noticeable, a slight twitch of a finger, a nearly imperceptible shift in her facial muscles. But to the research team, these were monumental signs of life. Thousands of years of preservation were slowly giving way to awakening. How long? The words came as a whisper, translated through advanced linguistic algorithms. Her voice was unlike anything they had heard before, a combination of sound and quantum vibration that seemed to resonate beyond normal hearing. Hana approached carefully, her movements slow and deliberate. "Thousands of years," she responded gently. "You've been preserved. You're safe now." The medical team worked meticulously. Quantum nutrient streams began to flow through her newly awakening systems. Her body, which had been part crystal, part biological entity, started to stabilize. Muscles that had been frozen for millennia began to remember movement. Arya's memories came in fragments. Glimpses of her previous civilization flickered like broken video signals. She remembered resistance. She remembered fighting against a system that demanded absolute conformity. Her crystallization had been a punishment, a way to silence her. Rebellion. Jae Sung noticed something extraordinary happening. Her neural pathways were not just reactivating, they were adapting to human technology. It was as if her consciousness was learning, growing, understanding her new environment in real time. The first full day of her awakening was challenging. Her body struggled to understand movement. Simple actions like breathing and blinking required immense concentration. The research team watched in awe as she slowly rediscovered basic human functions. Communication was complex. She didn't just speak in words. Her thoughts translated through quantum linguistic interfaces, creating a communication method that was part language, part emotional transmission. They could feel her memories as much as hear them. Her civilization, she explained, through fragmented memories, had been technologically advanced but socially rigid. She had been a leader of a resistance movement, challenging fundamental societal structures. Her punishment was to be preserved, conscious but unable to act. The medical team was amazed. Her biological systems showed remarkable resilience. Thousands of years of preservation had not destroyed her, but had instead created a unique form of evolutionary adaptation. She was both ancient and entirely new. As lunar days passed, Arya became stronger. Her movements became more coordinated. She began to understand human technology, human emotions, the world that had existed while she was trapped in her crystalline prison. Hana became her primary interpreter and guide. They developed a connection that went beyond typical scientific research. It was a relationship of mutual understanding, of shared curiosity about existence and survival. The research station became her entire world. Outside, the lunar landscape remained unchanged, but inside, a miracle was unfolding. An alien being was discovering a new civilization, a new possibility of existence. Her eyes, now fully alive, held stories of resistance, of a civilization long gone, of hope that had survived thousands of years of preservation. Arya was awake, and everything was about to change. The lunar research station became Arya's entire universe. Days turned into weeks as she gradually integrated into human society, her journey of understanding unfolding like a delicate flower opening to sunlight. Dr. Hana Kim remained her closest ally, spending countless hours helping Arya understand the complexities of human civilization. They discovered that communication went far beyond words. It was about emotions, experiences, and shared understanding. Arya's knowledge proved invaluable. The fragments of her lost civilization revealed technological advancements that challenged everything humans thought they knew about space exploration and biological preservation. Her memories were like puzzle pieces, slowly revealing a complex galactic history that had been lost to time. The research team learned that Arya's original civilization had been extraordinarily advanced, yet fundamentally different from human society. They valued collective thought over individual expression, a concept that had ultimately led to her punishment and preservation. Jae-sung developed specialized translation protocols that could capture the nuanced quantum communication Arya used. It wasn't just language. It was a complex network of emotional and intellectual transmission that went beyond human understanding. Her first steps outside the research chamber were momentous, dressed in specially designed clothing that accommodated her unique biological structure. Arya gazed at the lunar landscape with eyes that had seen thousands of years of darkness. The scientific community was both excited and cautious. Arya represented more than just a scientific discovery. She was a living bridge between two civilizations separated by millennia. Government teams carefully managed her integration, balancing scientific research with diplomatic considerations. Slowly, Arya began to share the stories of her civilization. She spoke of advanced technologies that could manipulate matter at its most fundamental level, of societies that could preserve consciousness like digital memories, of conflicts that had torn entire star systems apart. Her relationship with the research team evolved. She was no longer just a subject of study. She became a colleague, a friend, a teacher. Hana found herself learning as much from Arya as Arya learned from humans. The psychological challenges were immense. Arya had to rebuild her entire understanding of existence. Thousands of years of preservation had changed her fundamental perception of time, space, and individual identity. Medical teams continued to monitor her progress. Her biological systems were a marvel of adaptation. Parts of her body still retained traces of the crystalline preservation, creating a unique hybrid form of life that defied traditional scientific classification. Arya's most significant contribution came through the historical and technological knowledge she shared. Fragments of her civilization's history provided insights into advanced quantum technologies, biological preservation techniques, and complex social structures that humans had never imagined. The research station became a hub of extraordinary discovery. Scientists from around the world came to study Arya, to understand the miracle of her survival and the knowledge she carried. Her emotional journey was equally complex. She mourned her lost civilization while simultaneously embracing the new world she had awakened into. Hana and Jae-sung became her primary support system, helping her navigate the emotional complexities of her new existence. As months passed, Arya began to find her place. She contributed to scientific research, helping develop technologies inspired by her lost civilization's knowledge. Her quantum communication techniques revolutionized how humans understood information transfer. The world watched in amazement. News networks covered her story. The alien being preserved for thousands of years, brought back to life by human compassion and scientific innovation. Arya's most profound impact was philosophical. She challenged human understanding of consciousness, preservation, and the nature of existence itself. Her very existence proved that life could exist in forms humans had never considered possible. During quiet moments, she would share stories of her past, of the resistance she led, of the civilization that had tried to silence her. Her voice carried the weight of thousands of years of preserved memories. As Earth rotated outside the lunar research station's windows, Arya looked forward. She was no longer a prisoner of crystal and time. She was a bridge between worlds, a living testament to the power of survival and understanding. Her story was just beginning.